Hello, Jill.
Well, hello, Sarah.
I'm going to start off by talking about how the universe does not want us to make this episode together. we,
Seems to be that way. It does seem like there's some conspiracy to keep us apart.
we have tried this. This is number three now.
I don't think you can count the one we both forgot about. I don't.
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
think we did that twice, though.
Did we do it
It's happened
twice?
twice. We've rescheduled.
And
So,
we do like to talk to each other, so there's no excuse. I mean,
yeah, I love talking to you. So I'm
yeah,
glad that we can do this. I'm gonna,
yeah.
grab my mug and cozy in. And I was late getting on here with you tonight because I recorded another episode before you. So I was like, at some point we're gonna have to make this happen. We're just gonna have to
Yes,
make.
absolutely, absolutely.
And I'm gonna make a comment about the dramatic lighting because I don't even know what's happening here. So for anyone that's wondering, I've not turned into a vampire. This is just what
We
it's.
passed a certain time, and
Yeah, it's a late night at the Arts Council. No, I'm having some camera issues. I'm working out some kinks. We're gonna figure it out. I don't know. Coffee and words. It's all good. You are the president of the Fairview Arts Council. So for people who don't know, who don't live in the area, we are in Middle Tennessee. Well, I'm in Middle Tennessee, and you are the president. And I was like, you keep moving around, but you're the president of Fairview Arts Council. You're an artist, you're a sculptor, a painter. Um, what do they call that? Is it a comic artist? What do you call that when you draw comics?
Yeah, art kind of, my art leans a lot towards comic arts. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
also a musician and a
Yes.
songwriter, and though I don't do any of those things with any particular skill, I do a little of everything. Yeah.
But you are truly an artist. You delve into so many different things. Tell me a little bit about your background in art, and just your journey that you've taken as an artist.
Yeah, well, I have always thought of myself as an artist from the smallest child, when I was the youngest. I've always loved music and art and creating things. And so it made sense that I would become an artist as an adult. But back when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, nothing really hit home. I couldn't quite figure it out. So I ended up stepping away from school, dropped out of college, and went into small business. So I've done a lot of different small businesses, which is another love. Entrepreneurship is a love as well. Um, and it wasn't until I started having children, I had kids in my mid 30s, that I realized I'd let a lot of time pass without doing the things that I loved. So I began to start getting committed to getting back in, which is how the comic came to be. I basically just started journaling my life in comic form. Whatever was going on around me, I was trying to put into some kind of communication, I guess. And so it was a lot of things about the kids and just my effort to try to become an artist again. And in reality, coming back to creativity in my 30s, I had this period of time that I had to grieve my 20s,
Yes.
grieve all the paths that I took that didn't lead me to really anything that was meaningful, though it gave me a lot of experiences that I can draw from. Yeah, it taught me a lot about life. It was sad that I didn't put the effort into myself that I should have. And so I was determined to make up for lost time in between changing diapers and things like that. And little by little by little, I've done that and gotten a lot better at art. Um, but along the way, I have discovered that I love community as much as I love art, that there's always a people component for me. And I'm always drawn back to people. And so that's how I ended up where I'm at right now. And I'm in a good place where I do some creative work. I do art. I do comic art. I've got a comic that I'm getting ready to launch hopefully by the end of this year.
Oh, that's
Um,
exciting.
Yeah, my primary work is with people, with other creative people.
I would love to see the wings behind you on your wall. Those are so pretty. Ah,
You, I made
it's
those out of leather.
that's right. I forgot they were leather. I always see them in your
Yeah,
videos and they're stunning.
thank
What was the
you.
inspiration behind those?
All right, so I actually have this is a bit of a failure. I had a graphic novel that I was working on, and I got a little ways into it, and I just hit the pause button on it, because I wasn't ready. Like my skills, you when you're hungry, they say your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Well, as an artist, like you dream of a project that you're not really ready to fulfill, and so this became that for me. But the story, it has a woman trying to escape an awful situation, and she does it by basically building some wings that are very unlikely to fly and jumping off a cliff.
Wow.
And it's somewhat metaphorical about my life, and so I was very inspired by that. So I made the wings, to kind of go with that idea, to be an inspiration.
Wow.
But I do a lot of that. I do a lot of the jump off the cliff and build your wings on the way down kind of, endeavors.
I love that. Oh man, I love that. Um, well, you have a sincere love for community. I know you, like me, are very big on bringing people together. Um, and that's, one of the goals I have for this show is to connect people and people that would not normally get to meet or connect with each other. And one of the things that you did, one of your projects was building the Arts Council here, and you've built it from the ground up. And I love to watch. It's growing. It's doing, bigger and bigger things all the time. There's so many new things happening, and I love that. Tell me, first of all, for those who've maybe never thought of it or never heard about it, what is an Arts Council? And then kind of go into, why do we need arts councils? Why does any community need an arts council?
I don't know if I can answer the first question because they're all a little bit different in what they do. But I can definitely answer the second question, and I can tell a little bit about what we do and why. And I think that it's, if you're not in the Middle Tennessee area, but you are find yourself in a small community or a small town, I think that there is a lot that you can, hopefully be inspired by. I started to bring people together around the concept that there has to be art here. Fairview did not have a lot of visible art. There wasn't shops and galleries. There weren't, classes. There's a few little things as you might find in a small town, but I didn't know anyone that didn't do art. There that did do art in our area. There was a few people, older than me considerably, that I had met, and we're adjacent to Nashville. We're not too far away, so I knew there had to be people here. So I basically just stepped out and tried to be more visible. I left the kids at home with my husband on Saturday mornings and went to the coffee shop. We did have a coffee shop, and just sat there and drew by myself. And that led to sharing some studio space with a friend, just a little tiny space. And that led to social media posts. Hey, is anybody out there? You
Right.
want to come meet? And that led to a lot of just sitting by myself, waiting for people to show up. And really, you only need one person. And so that one person for me was Cheryl. And she showed up, and then she came back, and then she came back again. And I started talking about hopes and dreams for finding more people. And she had the same thoughts. And so, um, we just kept showing up, and it grew, and more people came, and we called ourselves an arts council and created a nonprofit organization because our hope was, not necessarily to teach art, not necessarily to be the ones doing the art, but to work a little bit on the visibility. to have a way for people to connect to each other, to have a way to bring people together. Because our goal isn't to do the things, our goal is to create a community that does the things. Our goal is to connect people that are already here, teachers to students, artists to people who want to hire them or use their work. Um, and it's just created this environment where people are coming out of the woodwork saying, I didn't know this anyone was here but me. I've lived in this town a long time. I've never met anyone else who does what I do or loves what I do. And if you're in a small town, you often feel like it's kind of homogenous wherever it is culturally. Everybody is a bit the same.
Right.
And so, if you're the weird kid, as some of us were,
Yeah.
you probably think, I'm it. I'm the only one. I'm the only
Right.
one that likes the things I like. And that's just never true. You just have to be brave enough to step forward, I think, a little bit and show up even if you're alone. Um, and so I think it is helpful to look at what other organizations have done. But I think it's important to say you can change your environment. It doesn't actually take that many people. It just takes a handful of people who want to come together and change the conversation.
You start small and build up from there. And I think that's something that you've kind of tried to do as well, right? You've started and then you've watched it expand and grow out and become a larger thing than what maybe even you thought it might be in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, Fairview has uh, somewhere around 8,000 people, maybe a little bit less than that. It's a very small town. So, you I keep thinking we're going to reach the end of the people that show up with some new creative thing, but the blacksmiths and the leather workers and the basket weavers and the sculptors and the songwriters and the musicians and the people at all levels of career just keep showing up. And so it's just been exciting. And I think that's something that we've lost a lot in society is that we are designed, I think, as human beings to be in community. And creative people, particularly, it's often fueling to be around other creative people. Even if you don't do what they do,
Yeah.
watching them work, you get inspired, you inspire each other. And it is also, for a lot of us, we're independent. We're independent creatives. We don't have a boss telling us what to do. We don't work on a team. We're just by ourselves trying to make something magical happen. And you don't have anyone to talk to if you don't have a creative community. You don't have anyone to get feedback from or critique. You don't, and sometimes when you talk to people who don't think like you do, who are not trying to do this, you feel a little nuts trying to explain your hopes and dreams to someone who doesn't really get it. So it's just really important to find people like you, to keep trying, because they're out there and they're as lonely as you are.
Absolutely. And what are some ways that people can get involved in their own communities if they're starting from scratch? They may feel like there's no way I could put this together, or they don't know who to reach out to or what questions to ask, or there may be something in their community that they're not even aware of. Where would you tell someone to begin?
Well, I think, looking for the things that are there is good. We have the creative things that we have had here. We have a recreation center. They do classes and have for a long time. We have a library, and there's a lot of people there that, show up that are creative. You can check with schools and things like that. But so much of it is just being brave enough to be the person that steps forward.
That's
Um,
hard for
yeah,
some
it
people. Yeah.
is. It is. But if you can find one person that will go sit with you at the coffee shop and open up your sketchbook or, something like that, just, be visible. And, I hate to talk about social media because it's a difficult topic. But
Yeah.
the reality is, we have so many powerful tools at our disposal to connect with people. And it can be used for harm, it can be used against community building, it can be used to tear people down, but it also can be used as a powerful organizing tool. You can find people, you can put information out, you can organize rather easily
Yeah.
through whatever social platform your community is most likely to be on. It's a really good way to find people. In fact, my first community was on Twitter. um, I didn't build it, I joined it. Just looking for people. I found several like creative groups, mostly based in the UK. And they were just the loveliest people. And it really drove home to me that this is something I need in my life. I need people that are like me, that see what I'm trying to do and can encourage that.
Right. Oh man, I think taking that first step, that first leap is so important. And I feel like we're not doing that as much anymore. I don't know if we ever were. I know that I see so many people. It's almost like we walk around with our head down and we're not connecting like we should. And I hope that we can, and I don't know if that has to do with the last 2 years and all that we've all been through, or if that's just kind of more of the disconnect. But I'd love to see more people coming together and being willing to, say hello in the grocery store and start a conversation. It's
Yeah, I think we'll be spending decades evaluating what the last 2 years have done to our social fabric, I think. But when we started the Arts Council in 2018, and so we had been meeting through 2018, and by the end of 2018, I think we had our organization together. And that was the theme then. So for 2 years, everyone that showed up just said, I thought I was alone, or I am alone. I'm tired of being alone. We were all alone. And these are people who are around people. You go to work, you go to church, you have all these people in your life, and yet it is possible to still feel very alone, because you're not making the right kind of connections. There's not people that show up for you, and you don't necessarily meet people who are like you, who want to talk about the things you want to talk about, who are interested in what you're interested in. And so that was really a theme before the pandemic. And the pandemic caused us, because we had put just even 2 years worth of effort into this, the pandemic helped us kind of pull together. And we survived having no activities for over a year, just on donations and hopes and dreams and goodwill. And so I'm very grateful for that. But it has
It's a
been
feat in and
really,
of itself. And
yeah.
that was before I was really involved with the Arts Council. What was that like for you guys? And, during that time, were you still able to create? And I know you guys did a lot online.
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, it was really difficult. We actually didn't officially open until almost 2020. We had our grand opening in September of 2019. And so then we did three events: January, February, and March. Um, and then that was it. We thought we were set up for like the best year ever. And then by April, I was alone. I ended up just alone in the space, in the Arts Council space with my children, because my husband was working from home. And so I had to leave the house. So we brought all the Legos. My daughter had roller skates. We just were there alone. And it was, we did a little bit of crowdfunding, which I very rarely ask for money from the people that are around us that support us. But um, really, we did online things. And I think it helped us in the way that it solidified for me what we're about as an organization. we focus a lot on the makers. We focus a lot on the people who are doing the things. And those are small businesses, small brands. Those are people just trying to get the word out about who they are. And so we're trying to get better and better at helping them have tools. Because if you invest in those people, those are the people that teach classes. Those are the people that open new businesses. In fact, we've had 3 new businesses open during the pandemic, which all right next to our organization and like right in the same center that we're in. And that is remarkable. So we're very grateful to our community, and um, we just see the value so much in people investing in themselves and trying to give something of value to the
Yeah.
community by doing something they love.
I love that you were able to keep that all together. That's an inspiration that it was that important and it meant that much. And people came together to continue it. However, that, was able to happen, whether Zoom meetings or, you guys
A
kept
lot of Zoom meetings.
together. Yeah. I know. It's like, I don't know how anyone would have gotten through the pandemic without Zoom, right? I think Zoom has sort of been that big connecting factor for so many people. But I'm very grateful that you guys persevered. That's definitely a testament to your commitment to the Arts Council and to this community and to
Yeah.
creating and bringing people together. So speaking of like community and art and all the things, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's divisions, whether it's any number of things just as humans that we go through, how is art healing for a community? Do you believe that art can heal a community and bridge gaps? And I know you do.
I do.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this. I do believe that. And I probably see it a little bit differently than some other people that talk about healing. I mean, the healing power of art is talked about a lot in different contexts because it can do something for you personally. Like it feeds your soul in a way that is really important, right? That's not what I'm talking about, though. That's somebody else can talk about that. For me, all art is communication because it doesn't matter if you're acting or singing a song or writing a story or painting a picture. If you are doing something that is yours, to me, I define art as something that is in you, right? Is your voice, your expression, your interpretation of something, even. You are taking this thing that is in you and you are giving it a physical form. And then you're taking that thing that you've given a physical form to that was once inside you and you're handing it to someone else. And then they're taking that thing inside. And it is this most pure form of communication to me because it gets past so many of those defenses that we put up between each other. When you tell a story to someone, it resonates on a totally different frequency. They hear it in a different way than if you just tell them something. And you're sharing yourself. And that is what we are missing right now. We are missing this ability to just listen to each other.
Mhm.
And it's discouraging because just like trying to have more creativity in a small town, I don't think there's anything that we can't solve if we listen to each other, if we understand each other, if we have compassion on each other. And I truly believe the arts, all of them, are the way to do that.
Yeah. And there's a vulnerability in sharing yourself with others and sharing that part of you and giving it that physical form and putting something tangible for someone else to see, as opposed to just putting up a hard exterior and closing ourselves off. That communication that leads to that connection. I mean, there's and vulnerability doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's opening up and taking a chance on other humans, and that's how we connect. That's an authentic connection when we do that. And there's a lot of superficial connections that they don't last because they're not deeply involved like that. And I think that's so important. I love that you bring out the communication aspect, because that's, I think, what we're lacking so much right now is communication.
We are. And I think that what is needed right now more than anything, particularly for so many people out there that are independent creators, because to me this is the age of the independent creator. The gatekeepers are gone. You don't have to have a publisher to publish a book. You don't have to have uh, you don't have to have a label to put your music out into the world. Like, you can just do your thing. I mean, if you draw a comic, you can put it online and have access to millions of fans. Um, it's just, it's harder than ever because we're alone, and it's hard to believe in yourself when you're alone. So I think that what is needed is to build communities. I think what is needed is to create intentional groups of people that make the decision to care about each other. They make the decision to be supportive of each other. Because that kind of an environment is where people learn to use their voice, because they know what they're going to hear. They know the people around them are there for them. You do that with your acting group. And it has been life changing for several of the people that go to it. It has been a profound impact because they're able to do something in an environment that they've never had before, that is supportive and challenging. And we need both. We need supportive and challenging. We don't need supportive to hide. We need supportive to teach each other to be visible.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, there's so much we could talk about with this. What are some things that you have seen, whether it be, you know, specific stories or things that you have seen that have inspired you through this journey of doing this and building community, and then maybe what you would like to see as it goes forward?
I think the thing that there's several things that I'm so proud of for my community. Um, One of those things is it's hard. It's very difficult when you shift from something tangible like art to something intangible like people, to know whether or not you're winning. And I'm very not financially motivated. Like, we're all volunteers. And I'm not good at asking for money, so I can't use that as a measure of how well we're doing. And so sometimes it's hard to see, is what I'm doing making a difference? Is it working? And one of the things that I used to do is when we would have events, I would just sit back and watch. And I'm always the common denominator because I'm the one that meets everybody first. And I would watch these people that I knew had been alone not connect to me, but connect to each other. And I just watched these friendships and these people who I knew had been alone for a long time suddenly have people. And it was just like, it was self-fueling, and it was just beautiful. It's like art all on its own. The other thing is we try to create this environment where we pick awesome people. That's who gets in. Like, we love to be around awesome people. So we have an interesting mix. We don't pick people who are successful because we don't care. We don't pick people who have um, reached a certain level of their careers because we don't care. What we care about is attitude. What we care about is intention. What we care about is, do you want to give back? Do you want to give to us? Do you want to be a part of this community? And so we have situations where we have people who have tremendous experience sitting right next to someone who has no experience. And there's no difference between the two. They're sitting there doing it together. We have a man, Doug Robertson. He is phenomenal, and he's a songwriter, and he has started a guitar pole. in the space. And so it's songwriters sitting around singing their songs. And we have a songwriter with hundreds of songs and just a fantastic career as a musician, sitting next to my son who's 13, who's only been taking guitar for a year. And when it's my son's turn to sing, everybody stops and listens with complete respect. And I love it. We have a gallery where we hang art. And so we have, for one of our shows, we had an award-winning
Back
artist.
here, we can't see
Yeah,
it.
back there.
There's a whole gallery back here. So,
Yeah, we have a very popular local artist who's award-winning. He's just the best. Aaron Graham, and he is on our
yes.
board, and he's a phenomenal guy. And we had his art hanging up next to an 11-year-old because
Oh,
he is gracious enough to be okay with that, because we're teaching that 11-year-old, and so we showed his work and showed her work and showed local artists' work, and the 11-year-old sold her painting at the show.
that's
And I mean, she
awesome.
was so proud, and the person that bought it was so proud, and Aaron was so proud. And it was just like, it's lovely when you are intentional about the communities that you build, and you build it on the right things. You build it on the right people.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to fail at this because we're looking for success, and success isn't in the numbers. It just never is. It's in the hearts. And if we want society to be good, if we want our communities to be good, that's what we have to focus on. We want to change our environment. That's what we want. We want our environment to be good. We want it to be a place where creativity thrives and is supported, where people are allowed to try new things, knowing that they might make mistakes, knowing that they might not get it right, knowing that the first thing that you do, or the second or the 10th, isn't perfect. But that's how you grow. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that comes up all the time. And one more time for the people in the back, it's okay to fail. It's okay to
It is
have some.
so okay to fail. Yes, you have
It's
to. If
okay.
you can't be wrong, you cannot grow. Growth is painful, and it is about making it. Art is the perfect example of that, because it, I have students who I've taught art for years, and I have students who, when they're young, that you say you can draw this, and then they just do. I mean, it has nothing to do with talent. If you tell a 5-year-old they can draw a thing, they just draw it. They don't even think about it. But
Yeah.
if you tell a 50-year-old who has never drawn before that they can draw a thing, they do not believe you. And they're so afraid to make a mistake that you can never fix the problems, and they never get better. It is only when you're willing to put those marks on that paper, knowing they're going to be wrong, that you can begin to see how to fix them and correct them. And I think society is the same way. We have a lot of problems and a lot of people who are afraid to be wrong. They're afraid to make mistakes. They're afraid to fail. Um, and you have to do it because it's part of the growth process.
Yes.
And we have to be forgiving of each other because we're all messy trying to get better.
Okay. We're going to take this part of the conversation and put it on a billboard somewhere. Because I
This is a
think,
whole separate conversation.
yeah, yeah, we could have many more like this. Just like it's okay to fail, it's okay to disagree. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to change your opinion. It's okay. I mean, you're right when you say we're so afraid. It's fear that holds us back. We're afraid to be wrong. We're afraid to be on the wrong side. We're afraid to say the wrong thing. We're afraid to put ourselves out there. And then we've built all of these walls that are separating us from connecting and building community and coming together. And so I love conversations like this because I feel like it's an open space, it's a free space to discuss, what can we do to treat each other better and to, you know, be better humans. I want to be a better human.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think you said it. I mean, we're all human. We're all the same. I mean, mostly there's small things that we disagree on, but when you really think about it, it's not the important thing. And we vilify each other because we are afraid. And I understand it. But your background is drama and story, and you write beautiful
Drama
stories.
and
Yes, you're bringing the
lots
drama
of
tonight,
drama.
right?
I bring the drama.
But like when you think about what you know about the world, how do you know anything about anything you haven't lived? How do you know about people you haven't visited? How do you know about times in history? Like we learn through story. We learn through hearing other people's experiences. I don't know what it was like to live Maya Angelou's life, but
Mm,
she gave me a little piece of that helps me understand, you know? Like you look at these people who can do this, who can share something of themselves with the world around them. They can give you a different perspective. And it is the arts that does that. It is that story and that creativity that helps people see each other. And that's what we have to do. We have to be able to see each other, really see each other, and get past, like you said, all those walls and barriers that we're putting up. And it just feels like we're putting more and more of them up. And it's scary. It is scary because I don't think we have to. And I
no,
don't think we realize that we can, if we come together, we actually can do so much. We can solve so many problems. We can help each other. That has been a beautiful thing about this experience as well. I've all these business units. So we've got 4 business units and 2 nonprofit organizations, all kind of roommates now. We're all sharing this space and watching people help each other because they've all caught this spirit of working together so that they can do more. And we share a lot. And it is just, it's been transformative for me. Like it really has. And I just wish people could see it's not easy because people are messy, but it's possible. It's possible to do it. It is possible to believe, to hold on to that hope long enough to see this happen in your area, in your community, with people that are like you and different from
mm. Thank you for what you're doing. I want to inspire people to take note in their own communities of what they can do and what they can build. It doesn't have to be something huge. It starts small and it goes from there. I think people who live in larger cities, they have a lot of resources available to them. But people who live in smaller communities like Fairview, or there's many, I live in Dixon, and which is much larger than Fairview, but there's a lot of small towns around this area. And so people may not know where to start, or they may not know, they may be struggling to try to get involved or find people, but I want to inspire people to take that first step and to look in their own communities and their own neighborhoods. Even maybe it just starts on your street, and you go
you.
to a few neighbors and you start something there.
And even in a big city, you may find that things are transactional, that it is you have to pay a certain amount of money, that there's constraints around everything. Um, and this is a show. This your show here is for creative people. So if people are watching this, they probably have some creativity. And I just want to encourage people, remember that. Remember that you're a creative person. We got all these boxes. Like we don't have to. Like you don't have to. You don't have to fit in the box. You don't have to go to the box to do the thing. You
Right.
can think about, just be brave enough to use that creativity to start something new. Be brave enough to use that creativity to solve a problem around you. And be brave enough to step forward and find the other people, find your people, because they're there. Uh, it's surprisingly, I just, the number of new best friends I feel like I've made, like you, Sarah. I mean, I really just, I, it's overwhelming how many extraordinary people I've met just in the last 2 years. Um, I, it just, you just have to hold on and keep trying, because those people are out there and you can find them and you can do something new.
Yeah, you just created my new favorite slogan, be brave enough to start something new. That's going to stick around. We're going to see, I'm going to put that on
Good.
a shirt or something. I love it. That's going in
Write it
clips
down.
for
Yeah.
the show. Be
Good.
brave enough to start something new. Well, tell me what you have coming up. What projects are you into? What are there, is there anything that you're working on that you want to share with people?
I you can go to my website. It's occasionally updated. I'm trying to let it direct to where I am. I am trying to write a little bit more about my experiences with people. I have I did a web comic for about 10 years, and I am trying to get back into drawing more. I have a web comic story, new one that I'm working on currently, that should be coming up. It's very new for me. It's a little sci-fi sort of.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's different. So for me, it's different. It's a little out of my comfort zone, but I've been working on that, and it's really exciting me right now. So I'm really working pretty hard on that, um, and I have a YouTube channel. I'm a little bit random, so I'm not exactly sure, but
eclectic, eclectic.
yeah, a little eclectic. But I'm trying to get better at talking about these things, because I do want to encourage people to be brave enough to start something new. So that's really what my focus is.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with me. Let's tell everybody where, like all your social media, or maybe not all of them, but whatever, wherever you want people to find you.
Yeah, if you go to Jill Lorraine Turpin, JillLorraineTurpin.com, you can find links to wherever I am.
All right. Well, good. Okay. Well, we're going to chat again soon. This is not the only time that people will get to hear from you. So
Fantastic.
looking forward
Fantastic.
to it. And thank you for finally, we made this happen tonight. I feel like I was talking with a friend and I was like, okay, we keep trying to record this episode and it's like it just keeps not happening. So
Yeah,
we have pushed through, we've powered through, and we made
that's
it
right.
happen.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you again. And I look forward to, seeing your web comic series that you've got coming up. And we will chat again very soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Bye.